Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Today's phrase is to give the heads up, or to give our heads up. Now, it sounds a bit confusing to use our before what sounds like a plural, but it's actually a phrase to give the heads up or to give our heads up. And it means to give you information informally. Now, this is used in business a lot, okay, when information which is not so important is being passed to you, okay? It can also be used with a group of friends who are sharing information, but it's usually always in a group setting. Let me give you some examples. So, the boss arrives at work and she says, "Good morning, everyone. Just to give you a quick heads up, I'm not in the office tomorrow." Your teammate arrives at work and he says, "A quick heads up for you all. The boss is downstairs. I've seen him. So just a quick heads up, we better behave, be careful of what you say, because he likes it when we're all at our desks and working." A group of friends are out at the pub, and one of them says, uh, "Everyone, I just need to give you a quick heads up. I won't actually be here next week or the week after because I'm going on holiday." And your colleague wanders over to your desk and quietly says in your ear, "Listen, just to give you a heads up, I heard that somebody's been complaining about the team, so we better keep our heads down and out of sight for a few days." To give the heads up or to give our heads up, you can use the or are, it doesn't make any difference. Okay? A quick heads up, to give the heads up, to give our heads up is when information is being passed. Now, I want to give you a quick heads up today on this podcast, just to let you know that there'll be some slight changes to this podcast feed. I don't know where you're listening to it. It's on most platforms. In the future, I'm going to begin introducing more recorded articles, such as news stories, audiobooks, different things which will be of interest, different levels as well. So some stuff might be easier, some stuff might be difficult, but I just want to give you the heads up because you might see more stuff. You don't have to listen to all of it, okay? And what it looks like, I'm not quite sure yet. Obviously, on a platform like YouTube, I can put it all into different playlists. But on one podcast feed, I don't want to give you too much because you might get bored with it. So that's coming your way. So you'll see some different stuff being uploaded, which isn't going to begin with the usual "Welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast." Uh, I'll let you know what it's going to look like. It may mean that I introduce a second podcast feed for those of you who would enjoy audiobooks, or it might mean I just put it all in one, or I could maybe do it over two, because some of the stuff I'll be recording might be Wikipedia pages, old news stories from the past, there's also some suggestion that some of the podcast feeds that you're listening to now may contain music. All right, so I'll let you know. Okay, it depends what you're listening to, where you're listening, but I'll keep you all up to date. So that's just a quick heads up. Some changes are coming because I want to push you forward a little bit with your English, but don't worry, I'll still be here with really trashy news in the morning and giving you phrases like heads up. Now, we give the heads up when we're giving you some news which is directly affecting you. So it would not be appropriate to say, oh, just to give you a quick heads up about a news headline, unless that news headline directly affects you. So if there was a news headline in the paper saying all Skype English teachers will be shot at dawn by the local police, then of course I'd be giving you the heads up that I'll quickly be leaving the country. But with general news stories, which are just there to inform you of things which don't affect you, then we can't use the phrase to give you the heads up. So, for example, today is the 1st of May, and many countries around the world are celebrating May Day. Now, it would be wrong to say, just to give you the heads up, today is May Day, because it doesn't affect any of us. It's just a holiday, and a nice holiday. So, to put that into some kind of perspective, if it did affect us, I could say something like, just to give you a heads up, it's May Day today, and the traffic around the town is going to be very, very busy. So my advice to you is don't come into town. That's a quick heads up for you. So you can hear the difference there. Something which directly affects you, we can give you the heads up about. All right. So that's the heads up. Yeah, today is May Day, but I just want to let you know that we don't celebrate that today here in the UK. All of our public holidays are always moved to the following Monday. So any holiday which lands during the week is moved to the next Monday to give us a long weekend. So today here in the UK, it's business as usual, and we celebrate May Day on Monday. But on Monday, as you know, most shops will be open, but most businesses will be closed. I mean, shops are businesses as well, but I mean, most offices will be closed, but shops will be open on May Day. May Day, as you know, is also the International Distress Code. Mayday, Mayday, somebody help me. Why we say Mayday, I've no idea, but that's the International Emergency Code, isn't it? Mayday, Mayday. It's what people say to let other people know that they're in trouble at sea. And I think they use it in aviation as well. Mayday. It's a very strong radio term, and for complete anoraks like me who love radio, we do love to sit there and listen to the emergency channels to see who's calling Mayday. It's a bit strange that, listening to the distress channels, waiting for someone to say that they're in big trouble. But if you like radio, you can listen to all kinds of Coast Guard channels, and those channels are monitored by the emergency services. So we don't listen to people dying, we listen to them getting rescued. Yeah, I used to love doing that, and maybe I'll do that today as well. Another thing about May Day, just to let you know, is in the old days, we used to have a Maypole which was put up that we would dance around. Now, this is something from my grandparents' generation. They would put a tree up or a pole. A pole is a long standing structure, like a long batten. If you think of a lamppost or a telegraph pole, it's something that's wooden or metal, it goes in the ground, like a long trunk of a tree, and you can tie things to it and dance around it. Okay, that was a maypole. So a pole was a long-standing structure from the ground up. A maypole was often a tree that was placed in the town, and people would dance around it. Yes, they would tie bits of ribbon to it, and they would walk around it, dance around it in different directions. Oh, the things we did before the internet came, huh? In some parts of Europe today, it's still a celebration. They get a maypole and they dance around it. It's something which vanished here about 150 years ago, I think. Um, it's interesting because all around where I live, there's still a lot of references to the maypole. So it was clearly a big deal. I know one of the local streets here used to be called Maypole Street. And most towns here had a street called Maypole Street, and slowly they disappeared or were replaced with other names. In southwest Scotland, there's even a town called Maypole, which in the past, of course, was Maypole, and the P has been softened to become a B. I don't know why it died out. I suppose the Industrial Revolution started to put an end to it. Capitalism as well, where people were less communal. And another thing was the maypole. We used to dance around it, but use it as a protest. So people would tie ribbons to this tree and then sing really nasty songs about other racial groups or religious groups. So it became quite controversial. It was like a form of protest. So that might be another reason why it died out. It does still exist in Sweden, I think, and other bits of Scandinavia. I'm sure in Germany, in Bavaria, they still have maypoles as well. So if you're looking to understand what it looked like, uh, you should almost certainly Google Maypole, and you'll see it in different countries. There are still some communities here that still dance around the Maypole, but it's very much an organized festival. It's not like a random thing that people do. Yeah, so the fact that we have street names called Maypole Street shows that it was quite a big deal, you know. The tree was brought around the 1st of May, or maybe it was left there to grow, I don't know, and people would dance around it. Yeah, the maypole. So it's very, very interesting bit of our history, which is completely gone, except for the street names or town names. But you can read more about that. So, anyway, next Monday will be our May Day celebrations, and I'm not working next Monday. I'll be out somewhere, probably just doing some shopping. Be nice to take a day off or go to a museum, something like that. So, yes, May Day. Oh, yes. So, just to give you the heads up, I'm away next Monday because that's our public holiday. And finally, my last piece of news today. You may have heard this in the media. It's all really strange. Our government has a plan to send some illegal immigrants to Africa, a place called Rwanda. And it's very controversial. Many people here are very against the plan, but the government is pushing ahead with it anyway. And there's two parts to this. Um, One part is where they get illegal immigrants. They basically approach them, take them away, put them on a plane, and send them to Africa. And the other part is where people come here to claim asylum and they're offered Rwanda. And if they are, uh, if they agree to go, the government then pays them £3,000. I think it's 3,000, and then they go. Okay. So perhaps the second bit isn't as controversial as the first bit, because if they're going through choice, that's not quite so bad. But the first part, where the government come and collect you, put you on a plane and send you there, whether you want to go or not, is incredibly controversial. And there's many protests here trying to stop the government. I mean, there's going to be a general election coming up soon anyway, so I think the next government will probably scrap this. I mean, our current government is deeply unpopular. So I don't know how long this will be going on for, but the first Rwanda immigrant was sent away to Rwanda yesterday. Now, this is someone who was paid to go. So the government basically said, okay, you're an immigrant. You arrived here to claim asylum. If you go to Rwanda, we'll give you £3,000. And they agreed, and they've gone. They went yesterday. And the government were very anxious to do that, to show people that it's beginning to control immigration. But they actually paid the person to go, so that's a little bit strange. But the other part of this, where they come and collect you and just send you there, that's due to happen in the next 2 or 3 weeks. But there probably will be another court case to stop it. I mean, the government had people on a plane, I think, last year, and one of the church groups, I think, here started a court case to halt it immediately, and the flight had to be cancelled at the last moment. So this keeps happening. The government is determined to remove people, but people here are saying, please don't do this. And of course, immigrants who know that they are due to go, and it's only single men at this point, they're disappearing. So we have many immigrants who've just vanished in the UK now. Nobody knows where they are. Some of them fled to Ireland, and Ireland was very unhappy about this. It's saying that 80% of people who are claiming asylum came from the UK because they're afraid that they're going to be deported to Rwanda. And this is very controversial for Ireland, and they've just passed a law to say, okay, if we get immigrants like this, then we're going to send them back to the UK. And the UK is saying, well, don't send them back here. If an immigrant has left here, they're not welcome to come back, so you can keep them. So this has become a big political issue between us and Ireland as well. Remember, there's no border between Northern Ireland, which is British, and Southern Ireland, which is part of the EU. So that's a kind of a big deal as well. So it's really heartbreaking to think that someone here who wants to live in Britain, who's an illegal immigrant, is running to Ireland to stop our government deporting them to Africa. I mean, it just sounds horrific, doesn't it? Uh, well, anyway, that's all the news for today. So I hope that you've enjoyed this. Let's talk again soon. See you. Bye.